We're having quite a time right now. I restarted this video a few times. We had the colt out running around. That didn't work, so we brought him back in here. So I'll just recap Bluebell. Now, there was a time when I could not do that. She came to us in October. It's May now. She was pregnant when we got her, and she came from a kill buyer who said that she was gentle, but she wasn't broke to ride. Well, he was right about one thing. She was not broke to ride, but she was not gentle. She was very, I would say, feral, actually, aggressive, fearful, aggressive, and feral, and wanted absolutely nothing to do with people. And because she was pregnant, very pregnant, we had to be real careful about how we approached training her, because we didn't want to stress her out and cause her to, you know, cause a problem with the pregnancy or whatever. So her first 30 days she spent out in quarantine, and then we brought her into the barn, and she was really fearful, didn't want anything to do with people, wouldn't take a treat. You know, you couldn't hand her a treat. If you tried to feed her grain out of a bucket, she would turn around and kick, and you know, she just didn't want anything to do with people at all. So when I get a horse, I don't want to get horses like this anymore at my age, but when I get a horse like this, I set the bar really super low every time I fool with it, and that way it doesn't even really know, you know, I don't put a lot of stress on them, and so they don't really know that they're even being trained, because we do things in such tiny increments. It took weeks to be able to have her come to me to be caught. It took weeks for her to be able to be groomed. It took weeks, months for her to be able to have the farrier trim her feet, and that's still a little bit sketchy. She gets a little impatient about it, but she, you know, she hasn't offered to kick or bite or strike or anything like that in a really long time. And because we take things really slow with her, we show her what we want, and we never, you know, get upset at her. We just correct her if she's wrong. And so now that the baby is 2 months old, I want to start doing a little bit of, you know, work with her to see what if she does know anything, if maybe she is broke to ride. They said no. They said what they said actually was that they thought she had been started when she was really young, and then they quit riding her. And I can't imagine, when she came here, I can't imagine anybody riding her. She acted like she had been shocked with cattle prod. You know, if you touched her with anything like that, she would freak out like you were shocking her. You know, you couldn't do that. See, she still trembles a little bit. She still flinches a little bit. But she would freak out. I mean, her legs would buckle, and she would absolutely freak out. Let me move him. And she would freak out, you know, over if it touched the end of her nose, her legs would buckle down to the ground, and like she'd been shocked. So, you know, we've just been working on desensitizing her a lot and getting her to the point now where I want to start seeing if she knows what tack is. So what I'm going to start with is just a saddle pad. I'm going to try throwing a saddle pad up there and seeing what she thinks about that. I really have this flag to keep that colt off of me, because he's a little stud, and we've done a lot of training with him, imprinting him. He leads, he ground drives, he wears a little miniature horse bareback pad. He picks up all 4 of his feet. He's been on some hikes with us and that, but you know, he'll come running up and just want to get right on you. So this is really more for him. As you can see, it's not bothering her too much. So I'm just going to show her this pad. And I'll let them sniff it and look at it as long as they want to. You know, I'll let her look at it as long as she wants to. Yeah. Let her know what it is. I think I got some fire ants. I'm getting bitten up by something. Okay. Put that down for a minute. All right. Let her just keep looking at it. You know, with her, I let her look, and then I let her look, and I let her look again, and I let her... She kind of fool you, because she looks like she's kind of a deadhead, calm, you know. She's really not spooky about things out in the woods or in the pasture, in the stall. But what her problem is people. You know, she was so afraid of people. And that's what we have to get her over. It's a shame because you can tell her basic temperament. Now, see, she doesn't want me to go to her right side. See how she's blocking me with the, see this, see this, see this? This is not by accident. She's trying to keep me on her left side. You know, horses don't do anything by accident. Everything's intentional. Every move they make is intentional, and so every move we make should also be intentional. And she's like, I don't know about you on my right side with that thing. She's not liking that. So I'll just rub her a little bit. Now she's licking and chewing, so she's accepting that. I'm going to give her a cookie for that. And you know, I never used to use treats for training horses until I got some of these rescue, quote-unquote, horses that really don't have any use for humans, and they couldn't find any good reason to cooperate. And you know, once we get feeding them and giving them some treats during training, then they start to see a little bit of value in the training. So that's kind of why I do it, and also to kind of get them to want to try a little bit, because there's something in it for them. They're not just being annoyed. I'm just going to drop the lead rope on the ground so she doesn't feel trapped, and just lay the pad up there like that, and just wiggle it a little bit. Good girl. Now see, she's looking at that pad. And this is the kind of horse that goes from 0 to 60 instantaneously. She doesn't get all high-headed and prancy if she really intends to leave or do whatever. She just goes straight into her defensive mode from this stance. So, you know, once her mind flips over to that fear, then she's a completely different animal. And as I say, we haven't seen that much in a long time, but I just don't want to trigger that in her. I want to try to keep her in her calm state of mind. And speaking of calm, so he got reprimanded for coming over here to climb on me, and he's being a little bit more respectful. So I got a stud colt in here. Whoa. And see how she gets when I go to the right? She's like, oh, no, you don't. No, no. All right. I'll turn her around so you can see. You know, and a lot of times it's just because people handle them from the left side more, and they're just not used to being handled from the right side. But, you know, it's hard for me to believe this horse was handled much at all before we got her. And when I got her, you know, I wouldn't have wished her on anybody. But, you know, once we get one, we commit to it, and we do everything we can for it that we possibly can to give it a good future. And he can look at it too. All right, so I'm just going to swing it up there. Good girl. And when I'm training a mare, a horse like her, as I say, I'm setting the bar very low, and I'm training her very incrementally. If he wants to nurse, he can. Whoa. Oh, he's going to take the pad. You can't take the pad. This is what we're up against, having this colt out here. And get gone. You know, I got to watch him, and I got to watch her, and I got to watch everybody. And she'll let him do anything to her, but he has to understand, you know, he would just as soon, he'd like to do that to me or my husband or anybody because his mother puts up with it. He thinks it's okay. But it's not. It's not okay. Well, before I put the bareback pad on her, I just want to desensitize her a little bit more underneath her belly and her girth. Ooh. Just, you know, get her used to the idea that there's going to be a cinch there, maybe. I want him to leave her alone. I did a lot of rope work with her when she was pregnant as far as desensitizing her to the rope. And that's paid off in spades because we went on a hike last night and I had the baby on this long rope and he got away from me and my husband was leading her and he got this rope all wrapped around her and she didn't even care. So this is just simulating the cinch on the bareback pad. She's looking at it. Just gave her a cookie for putting up with that. Good girl. You know, this kind of horse, she had absolutely no reason to deal with people or want to deal with people at all. And every time she did, it was because she was just trying to get you to get away from her. That was the only interaction. So I am using traits just to make a positive association. Well, I don't have my mic yet. We just had a situation where a chicken went underneath her and got stepped on and was screaming and flapping underneath her back feet. And I got excited and I was screaming and flapping. But she didn't really get too upset about it, so that was good. I think the chicken's okay. She was standing on its foot. I'm just doing a little bit of review here before I put the pad up there. So, you know, it seems like you might think to yourself, oh, she's just taking way too much time and going way too slow. Well, if you've seen what I've seen with this horse, you know, you want to take it slow. You just don't want her to get upset. I don't want her to feel like she has to defend herself. So that's why I keep my lead rope loose and, you know, I don't hold her tight. Because I've thrown the rope over her, then that cinch isn't scary. You know, good girl. And you notice that I don't reach under her to get the rope or the cinch. I use my stick. She was very talented when she came. If you tried to pick up her front foot, she could kick you with her back foot. So she's pretty talented with that back foot. I'm watching him because his butt's aimed at me. I'm going to just see if I can get him to move a little bit. There we go. I got to have eyes in the back of my head right now. Okay. There we go. And you know, eventually I want to be able to reach under there and get it, but not today. All right. Remember. Remember the rope? Huh? All right. There we go. And then I'm just going to take well, I think I'll put the long line on her, you know, in case I don't think she's going to care. But let's just err to the side of caution here. And I'm just going to send her around and let her feel that bareback pad on her back. Come on. Ooh. There she goes. Now, you know, because we took so much time doing that, then you have to ask yourself, oh, was she already broke to, you know, a saddle? Or is she being really good because we took 6 months to get here? So, you know, this isn't really telling me if she's already been broke to tack. But she's doing really, really good with it. Her baby's trying to stop her. Good girl, Bluebell. That's really good. He bites her legs and pushes her on, and, you know, he's just a pain. Good girl. All right, give you a little cookie, we'll send you the other way. I'm going to tighten that cinch up a little bit. You know, it's not what you would call rider tight. It's on there, but it's not rider tight. You know, now it's rider tight. So, you know, she's going to really feel it. I'll send you the other way. Come on. Come on, Junior. this is good for him too, because he has got so much energy. Maybe he won't beat her up so much in her paddock. So really we're working her, but he's also learning. That's good. Okay. I've never tried to bridle her. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of bridle. I'm just going to see if she'll take a bit. And if she takes a bit, then we might assume that maybe she's had a little bit of training. Can't assume, but, you know, I've never done this with her. I see the way she's trying to spit it out. I would say she's probably never had a bit in her mouth. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say she's probably never had a bit in her mouth. So I'm just going to let her spit it out and take it away. So I know we have a lot of training to do because generally if they've had a bit in their mouth, they're just going to suck it right up and go ahead and wear the bridle. So she wanted to spit that out really badly. So that's just something we'll work on, putting it in her mouth, letting her do that, take it out, give her a treat, you know, that sort of thing. Let's see if she'll let me put it back in now that she knows what's going to happen. It might get worse before it gets better. Okay. Good. Just let her do that. So this is not a horse that has had a bit in her mouth before. This horse is not broke, okay? At least unless they rode her in a side pole or something, a hackamore. You know, she's not broke. But, you know, she's not really having a big fit about it. So I'll do this with her every day, you know, or every time I get her out, I'll just put it in and out of her mouth a couple of times. And then once she sort of accepts it, then I'll go ahead and put the bridle on and let her wear it during work. So that's all we're going to do with Bluebell today. Thanks for watching. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. Drop any comments or questions in the comment box below, and don't forget to like. Thank you.